Market direction is the single most important thing when investing in the market. The market is hitting all-time highs. Why do we keep talking about caution? Well, we have indicators for market timing that no one else has. Let me show you how to really stay up on what's really happening in the market. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our YouTube live channel, Trending Thursday here on YouTube. My name is Glenn Tompkins, Senior Instructor here at VectorVest. Always my pleasure to be here and always glad to have VV Nation here. If you can hear me, by all means, please respond in the affirmative with VV Nation and let me know that everybody can hear me loud and clear, that we're coming across loud and clear, that the technology is working, that Joey's doing his job and not sleeping on the job like he normally does. Joey's a little grumpy today, by the way, folks. He's just a grump. Joey, say hi.
No.
See? He's grumpy. I told you he was grumpy. All right? But I'm happy for everybody here. Man, look at that VV Nation pop up. Goodness, Gordon Gin, as Susan would like to hear me say, holy smokes, you guys are coming out in force today. Thank you so much for supporting our YouTube channel. Holy smokes, you guys are rocking and rolling. So thank you for letting me know that everything is good to go. Couple of things. We do have, this is all podcastable. So if you are not here live and you're going to listen to this later, welcome to you as well. So you can listen and go shopping or go buy gas or whatever it is that you do. If you're a parent, go pick up your kids and then go listen to the webcast or the podcast. If you look down below this video, we do have the VectorVest store. Go down there and check it out. We've got cups. We've got shirts. Do we have masks down there still? We've got some coronavirus masks, folks. So, man, oh, man, please don't blame Joey. He does a great job. Really a shock? And Joey made sure he pointed that out in the chat. Whatever. Joey, you guys don't know Joey like I do. I love Joey to death. He's a good friend of mine, but you guys don't stand up for Joey. Y'all don't know him like I do. Looking sharp and red, says Lisa. You know, my wife made me buy this. It looks like a picnic table freaking cover. That's what it looks like. Wow, you trying to say I'm fat that it fits a picnic table? Really? All right. This is why I say don't stand up for Joey. Joey is not a nice guy. So go check out the store. If you have a mobile device, which I know we all do, look at this mobile device. We do have a mobile version of the VectorVest software. Patrick France, every Thursday at 11 o'clock on Facebook, he shows people how to use the mobile app. Social media follow. If you want to follow me on social media, if you type in Glenn Tompkins Jr., type that in for them, Joey. Glenn Tompkins Jr., GLE, 2 N's, and in Tompkins, no H. Joey's going to put it into the room. If you go to @Glenn Tompkins Jr. on either Twitter or Instagram, follow me. I put a lot of stories up throughout the day just to let you know what's going on. So there it is, @Glenn Tompkins Jr. Why did you retract it? You retracted it. Okay. Anyway, Joey's putting that up there. And right now we are running a special. Our marketing department wanted us to put this up there. We are running a special on our digital courses. Joey's going to put that up, I think. What is it? Joey's going to put that up there. I believe it's VectorVest.com. University.vectorvest.com. Is that it? I guess it is. All right, and you can save up to 50% on our courses. We have a lot of different courses, but for the month, I think, of September, do you September? When we fell in love, Anyway, in the month of September, we will be doing a 50% off on our courses. So take advantage of that. That's there for you, especially for those people who are VectorVest subscribers. I'm going to put that up there. All right. Next thing I want to do is I want to introduce our special guest today. Her name is Susan Hayes Colton, and she's our marketing director for the EU. Is that correct, Susan?
That is exactly right, Glenn.
Okay, and Susan and I have gone back a ways. She's an outstanding person. personally, but extremely knowledgeable about what's going on in the market. She is an economist, and she's been highlighted on TV shows in the UK, in the EU. I get those mixed up. That's my own fault. In the EU, so a lot of people turn to her for financial information. So she's awesome at what she does. I think that she adds a lot of oomph to our staff in regards to getting people to understand what VectorVest is all about. And she is the host of Fantastic Female Fridays. So welcome, Susan, everybody. Everybody say hello to Susan, number one. And number two, tell them a little bit about yourself and what Fantastic Female Fridays is all about.
Thanks, Glenn. Well, first of all, thank you so much indeed for having me back here today. I love your show. And it was really wonderful to be here with you a couple of weeks ago. So, as you said, my name is Susan Hayes-Cullerton. I'm Managing Director of VectorVest Europe. And we have over 2,200 stocks in our database. I'm going to be bringing you a European perspective today. Personally, as an investor, I like to look for income, look for my dividends. I'm a big options girl. So I like to sell puts in particular. I like to sell cover calls. I like spreads, etc., etc. And then, yes, indeed, Fantastic Female Fridays is a show dedicated to women and investing. And over the past couple of episodes, we've spoken about a wide range of issues, Glenn. I was absolutely honoured to have the opportunity to interview our new CEO, Linda Royer, for her first ever public appearance on our most recent episode. We spoke about setting effective financial goals, which, in a show like this, we don't have time to get into. But if you have a clear financial goal around the stock market and around your finances more broadly, then of course it can be super helpful when you're listening to and participating in Trending Thursdays. And also then we spoke about beliefs that can hold you back from financial freedom. We spoke about the ways that men and women invest differently and so on. So that's me. Really looking forward to having a chat with you today and taking you through what's going on this side of the Atlantic and right around the world.
All right. With that, Susan is going to help me in regards to what's going on in the markets, both her market and our market. She's going to help with the analysis on some of the stocks that we have up. So I like that perspective of not just listening to me, but listening to some. And, I am well aware that Susan's got a lot more credentials in this space than I do, and I value that 110,000%, and that's why I love to have her on board so that she can give a different perspective than what I get. I'm just a guy. I am. I'm a cool guy, but I'm just a guy. Susan's got a lot behind her in regards to what's going on in the market and understanding the market, so I think you're going to really love what she has to say. With that, let's start off with what we always cover every week. We always start off with what's going on in the market. So, good Gordon Ginn. Look at the market. A big move to the downside. Primary wave is down. The price is red. The RT is red. There's looking like there's going to be some blood in the streets. Before you get all up in arms and panicky, VectorVest had been having you prepared for this. Number one, let's go back a couple of days in our color guard, which keeps track of 3 of our market timing indicators. This is just 2 days ago. Just 2 days ago. And I heard on YouTube in one of my comments, someone stated that, well, with the market hitting all new highs, somebody's wrong, and they didn't think it was the market, which left me to believe that you were saying that VectorVest was wrong. I answered, and I answered truthfully. I got a comment back that I was being condescending. And you know something? I don't think that I was. I was being very truthful. I'm always truthful to the point that I'm not going to always tell you what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you what you need to hear and what the VectorVest software is producing out there. So that was a conversation that went back and forth a little bit. So, and I say that for the reasons of just a couple of days ago, looking at September 1st, right? That was Monday. Market's still going up higher. Green lights in the price column, green lights in the RT, primary wave up, bada boom, bada bing, all new highs. What are we saying on this day? Be cautious. Why were we telling you to be cautious? Because we analyze the market differently than anybody else out there, number one. Number two, we have indicators that nobody else has to keep you abroad or keep you on top of what's going on. You know what we sort of kind of do? We sort of kind of give you the rest of the story that nobody else is giving to you. All they see is the market is going up. Nobody tells you, hey, be careful. Everything is telling you is the market's going higher. It's hitting historical new highs. Go buy, go buy, go buy. We never told you not to buy. What we did say is be careful. We never told you to panic and sell your stocks. We told you to be careful. And a lot of people, I caught flack for it. You know something? I got wide shoulders. I'm okay. I can carry that weight. But there's nobody on the other side of this camera or the other side of this microphone gonna ever tell me that the software is not working. All right, so from that perspective, let's go back to where we are now. If you're being careful at this particular point in time, what do? Tighten stops. Don't panic. The market's going up, great. Then the stocks that you tighten the stops on, they're still doing fine. They're still making money. But when a day like today comes, and we got all of this red popping up, and we look at the Dow down 792 points. The NASDAQ is down almost 5%. The S&P down over 3%. Our composite down almost 3%. With all of that caution being relayed to you, if nothing else, you would have stopped out of your stocks a lot quicker than if the guidance wasn't giving you to be cautious. So that's what I got to say. I'm going to stick to that story. That's that. And for everybody who's trying to tell me that the VectorVest software needs to be recalibrated, you guys need to, no. That's not, please nobody, okay. Whew. That's not the case. Just learn to read the data. Listen to what we say. Don't take what you think you heard and run with it. We are very distinctive in the verbiage we use in the software to help our subscribers stay on the right side of the market. All right. So with all of that being said, Susan, you want to add anything to that? I'm sorry. I had to get on my soapbox there for a second because, again, it's something that's been coming up time and time again. But go ahead.
What I was going to bring up here, Glenn, is what is going on in Europe, because it's slightly different. We had an interesting couple of days. In fact, we've had an interesting couple of weeks as regards what has been happening. So, for example, a really big story that came out of Europe was the stimulus plan was agreed. So a stimulus plan of both grants as well as loans were going to be administered to the European Union countries. And from there, it was going to make up 750 billion of a stimulus. And this was a really big story, really drove on the markets and so on. Now, from there, then, of course, the detail needed to happen about what was actually going to get into those countries and how was that going to be fed right back in to the businesses and to the people and so on. And so anyway, that was a really big story, as I say, drove on the markets and so on. But yesterday, there was some new information out, and that is that we are at a risk in Europe of more deflationary fears. So the thing is that how does deflation affect the market? Well, what it does is that if things are going to go down in price over time, well, then that prevents people from buying. And if, of course, people aren't buying, well, then that's affecting how much people are spending. Because if prices are going to go down tomorrow, why would I buy today? And then, of course, that hits profits and so on like that. So yesterday, I was looking at the markets and every single stock that I had on my screen was green, every single one. And that was because if you've got deflation, well, then what happens is the central bank steps in and says, okay, we're not going to let this happen. We are going to pump more stimulus in over and above what has been already agreed. And then today was another story again, because the markets in Europe started off really well today. Now, what happened later on in the day, just like you've been talking about in the NASDAQ, what's been happening in the tech stocks, and I'd love later on, Glenn, to talk to you about volatility and what's going on there in the options volatility in particular. But anyway, before that, there was a €100 billion stimulus announced in France. Now, France is the second largest country in the EU, and further, the stimulus plan that was announced was 4 times bigger than that was emerging from the 2008 stimulus plan. And further, it's 4% of GDP, a third of it to be spent within the next year. So this was a really, really, really big deal. So this is what I'm saying, is that at the moment, obviously, I'm watching the comments there, and there's a range of different people that are saying about the markets really being hit today, and that's primarily being driven by the tech stocks. Mm-hmm. But in Europe, we had a very different day. We've had a very, very different couple of days, and particularly it's been the central story here is about deflation, the central bank stepping in for a different reason. How can the central bank and national government stimulate demand? It was announced today that in France they're not going to raise income tax to pay for the stimulus. Further, the same was announced in Ireland, actually, just announced today as well. So what we're trying to do here in Europe, stimulate demand, put money into people's pockets. And one last thing I'm going to say before I go back to you on this, Glenn, is despite the fact that this was a really big story announced today, particularly in France, about the 100 billion stimulus, people in France, consumers in France, have actually saved exactly the same amount of money this year. There's an extra 100 billion sitting in bank accounts right now, right around France, and of course depends on a range of things, their own confidence, joblessness, as well as job prospects, wage expectations, and so on. So I just wanted to maybe start off today by saying we're actually looking at a slightly different story this side of the world, and I have to say we almost had the same conversation a while ago for different reasons, but that's the big story come from Europe today.
All right. So with that, I'm going to start to go into our first story, which I always start off the first story dealing with the market overview. So let's go take a look. Oh, I can click it there? Yeah. All right. So take that off. Wall Street moves higher, and this was yesterday. Wall Street moves higher, shrugging off ADP disappointment. There were not as many jobs added as opposed to what they were looking for yesterday. But the other side of that is today, not as many people were filing claims for unemployment as was to be expected. A little bit of an offshoot back and forth. This story, talking about today's story, which is not here, about the move back of unemployment claims really should have bolstered the market to the upside today, but it didn't, because tech stocks, which were moving the market prior to today so much, took the big hit today, driving the markets lower. So job numbers, whether it is how many jobs are coming out to people or how many people are filing for unemployment, they sort of kind of equaled out themselves. Good news yesterday, but bad news today. Bad news yesterday, good news today, sort of kind of butted heads a little bit. But you think that from a jobs perspective, it should have driven the market higher. And this was Susan's story, talking about the global rise on hopes for central bank stimulus. Do you want to go more into this, or do you want to utilize this? I put the story up there. Did you want I thought you wanted me to put the story. Was I wrong to not put the story up, or yes, no, maybe?
Absolutely, yes,
okay.
Yes, you were indeed. I just wanted to maybe to delve into this a little bit more, because let's say that if somebody is interested in looking at Europe, obviously we have got a fantastic database right here at VectorVest where you can delve in and we can talk about specific stocks, which I'm happy to do. But also it's really interesting to look at Europe as a whole, because when you look at where the market is at in Europe relative to pre-COVID, and where you look at where the market is at in the States relative to pre-COVID, there is a difference there. Europe has not clawed back the same amount of ground. So the reason that I'm particularly interested in this is that we have got a further buyer potentially who is going to be at play here. Now, I do want to tell you one thing, and that is the euro is actually a very new currency. It was only brought into being back in 2002, right? So that's 18 years ago. It's now able to drink. But in addition, when you consider the impact of that, is that for a full decade, the eurozone has now actually been underplaying its inflation expectations, because just like your good selves at the Fed, the inflation target is at or below 2%. So if we're not reaching that target, and on top of that, if we have an environment where, of course, that people are being held back as a result of COVID, and as a result of that, they're not spending as much, going back to what I said in France and so on, we are potentially then looking at an extra buyer. But there is another thing at play here, and this is really important for anybody who might be interested in looking at Europe from the point of view of investing is, do you decide to invest in Europe using the euro, or do you avoid the foreign exchange currency exchange and therefore you just invest in dollars? Because, Glenn, this is something that has been dominating the headlines here for a while, is the euro dollar rate. The euro has been strengthening and strengthening and strengthening. At the beginning of this year, €1 could buy $1.06. Just in the past 2 days, that has gone to $1.20. So that means that at the moment, my euro is strengthening and strengthening and strengthening. Now, the problem with that, of course, is that it does act as a drag then when it comes to exports. Right. And exports fuel the economy and the way in which people are then employed and so on. So as a result of that, and this has been a serious fear. Now, instead of this actually causing investors to hold back, they're actually driving on because, as I say, if you've got a big buyer in behind you, this is the big story, is that we could have stimuli from the point of view of coronavirus, as well as, of course, stimuli from the fact that we're simply looking at either lowering inflation relative to where we thought it'd be, as well as potentially deflation. Deflation happened for the first time in 4 years in August. So therefore, they do not want to go down this road again. So the thing that I'm watching is the inflation target. I'm watching the euro value, and I'm also looking for potential announcements of new stimulus coming in the future. That's what I got.
All right. So I wanted to put those two stories together as far as what's going on in markets. I'm going to open back up the VectorVest software. Let's go down. Let's go take a look at on a graph. Actually, let's go do it from the viewers. Watch list viewer. Here are our stocks that we're going to look at for today. 9-3. Here's our stocks. We got a full gambit of stocks to look at today. But the two that we look at for the market are the VVC, for those people who are VectorVest subscribers. And for those of you who are not subscribers, a good way to gauge what's going on in the market is the SPY or the S&P 500. All right, we're going to look at both of their graphs now that they've both been highlighted. Oh, that's cool. And there it is. The markets have been rising, rocketing. There's the S&P 500. I'm using two moving averages, a 3 and an 8 exponential moving average. Look at that. Rising, rising, rising. But here's that indicator, RT, letting us know when the market's in an uptrend. And I want to show you, this is where that heads up comes in. When the market's moving higher, that relative timing tells you that the market is really going up with some oomph, with some chutzpah. When the market is moving up and the RT is not, even though it's above the value of 1 and it's not, that's not backing up the move in the market. Again, the reason why we said be careful in the market. Now, that's in the spiders. Let's go down to the VectorVest composite. Same kind of scenario. There's the RT on the VectorVest composite, and put that on a 3-month graph. It's moving up, but look at the two big candles for either the VectorVest composite or the SPY. Both of them big down. A lot of it has to do with the NASDAQ stocks, and they're just getting smoked today. They're getting smoked like a pound of ham, and I like bacon and I like ham, but nonetheless, it's getting beat like a rented mule. Who rents a mule anymore? Does anybody rent a mule?
Who says that?
I said that, but I'm wondering if anybody rents a mule anymore. Anyway, both of the markets, whether it's looking at the VectorVest composite or the S&P 500, big down day, but I do see that they've been moving up, and this was just in preparation of this was going to happen at some point in time.